Yeah, they say I'm good with dialogue. I've lived a lot, I've heard enough fucking conversations, I ought to be. I was blessed with a crappy life. That's all. Crappy life to write about. A lot of writers that get famous when they're 22, 23, and then they're in the literary world, they're going to cocktail parties, and nothing's happening but that. So they miss out on the manure pile. I was always looking and landing jobs. There'd be 10 guys in the sitting room, they'd take me for some damn reason. I finally figured out the reason. They figured out I was dumb, too dumb to steal, so they took me. So they took me. I was blessed with a crappy life. That's all. That's all. I was blessed with a crappy life. That's all. That's all. I just don't love my stuff that much. You know what I'm interested in? What I'm gonna type tomorrow night. That's all that interests me. The next poem, the next fucking line. What's past is past. I don't want to linger over it and read it and play with it and jolly it up. It's gone. It's done. If you can't write the next line, well, you're dead. The past doesn't matter. If you can't write the next line, well, you're dead. The past doesn't matter. I was blessed with a crappy life. That's all. That's all. I was blessed with a crappy life. That's all. Crappy life to write about.
Used to write every night.
And not every night. 3 or 4 out of 7. If I don't get those in, I don't act right. I feel sick. I get very depressed. It's a release. It's a release. It's my psychiatrist letting the shit out. It's lucky I get paid for it. I do it for nothing. In fact, I'd pay to do it. Here, I'll give you $10,000 a year if you'll let me write.
For years, you worked paid to write.
No, hell no.
I mean, how long? You worked at the post office 15, 18 years?
No, I quit at the age of 50. Yeah. As I was leaving the last night, the guys said, that old man's gotta be crazy quitting a good job like this. I walked out of that building, I thought, Jesus, maybe they're right. But I didn't give a damn. I was ready to go down to Skid Row. I was tired of it all. I was blessed with a crappy life. That's all. That's all. I was blessed with a crappy life. That's all. Crappy life to write about. Such a spoiled old toad, Jesus Christ. I should complain. 2 acres in the driveway, a swimming pool. I'm bitching like an old. Oh well.
There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out, but I'm too tough for him. I say stay in there. I'm not going to let anybody see you. There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out, but I pour whiskey on him and inhale cigarette smoke. And the whores and the bartenders and the grocery clerks never know that he's in there. That he's in there. There's a bluebird in my heart, never know that he's in there. Never know that he's in there. There's a bluebird in my heart, never know that he's in there. That he's in there. There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out. I'm too tough for him. I say, stay down. Do you want to mess me up? Do you want to screw up the works? Do you want to blow my book sales in Europe? There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out, but I'm too clever. I only let him out at night sometimes when everybody's asleep. I say, I know you're there, so don't be sad. Then I put him back. There's a bluebird in my heart, never know that he's in there. Never know that he's in there. There's a bluebird in my heart, never know that he's in there. That he's in there. There's a bluebird in my heart, you never know that he's in there. Never know that he's in there. There's a bluebird in my heart, you never know that he's in there. That he's in there. But he's singing a little in there. I haven't quite let him die, and we sleep together like that with our secret pact. And it's nice enough to make a man weep, but I don't weep. You?
The genius of the crowd. There is enough treachery, hatred, violence, like a knife, like a mountain, like a tiger, like hemlock. Their finest arts. Those who preach God need God. Those who preach peace do not have peace. Those who preach love do not have love. Beware the preachers. Beware the knowers.
Did you ever read Malcolm Lowry's Under the Volcano?
Yeah, I did, and I yawned myself to shit.
Why?
Why? Because, like any other writer, there's no pace, there's no quickness in his lines. There's no life, there's no sunlight. When you write, your words must go like this. Bim, bim, bim. Bim, bim, bim. When you write, your words must go like this. Bim, bim, bim. Bim, bim, bim. Each line must be full of a delicious little juice, flavor. They must be full of power. They must make you like to turn a page. Bim, bim, bim. What these guys do, they say, well, in blah, 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 da, 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 there was a porch chair. The flies were walking around. You see, they're too leisurely. They're setting up the scene for the grand emotion. And when they get to the grand emotion, there isn't any. When you write, your words must go like this. Bim, bim, bim. Bim, bim, bim. When you write, your words must go like this. Bim, bim, bim. Bim, bim, bim. This is a different age. It's the atomic age. Each line must have its own power, its own feeling, its own juice, its own flavor. Writing must never be boring. It must not bore the reader, the writer. It must not bore anybody. You have to have juice in each line, don't you see? You don't believe me, but I'm trying to tell you. You don't believe me, but I'm trying to tell you. When you write, your words must go like this. Bim, bim, bim. Bim, bim, bim. When you write, your words must go like this. Bim, bim, bim. Bim, bim, bim. When you write, your words must go like this. Bim, bim, bim. Bim, bim, bim. When you write, your words must go like this. Bim, bim, bim. Bim, bim, bim. Writers put me to sleep. They always did. They always will. Each line must be an entity unto itself. It must carry its own, like a voltage juice. You can't say, Mrs. McGillicuddy was sitting in her chair. It was 3:30 p.m. on a southern morning in Georgia. Mr. McGillicuddy was... This is all, it's already dead, you see. You must say, the thing, the thing, the thing. I'm not interested in solving the ills of society. I don't want to save the world. I don't even want to save me. I think most talk is so boring. I mean, save this, do that, do this. I think we're all so boring saying everything. We don't even want to save ourselves. We're so boring talking about it. There's nothing left to say. We're so fucking boring. Let it die, I say. Let there be a new beginning. I don't want to save the world. Let it die, I say. I don't want to save the world. I don't want to save the world. I don't want to save the world. Let it die, I say. I don't want to save the world. I don't want to save the world. I would like to be alone when like the phone rings too often. There's too many cameras and all that, and I kind of accept it, but it's not me. When these things are gone, I go back to the room and I become myself again. Oftentimes, I'll pull down all the shades like I used to, just lay down in a room for 5 to 6 hours just alone. Just lay in that bed and get something back, some kind of juice. Just being away from people, some of the most marvelous fulfillments a man like me can have. Is the absence of humanity is a fulfillment so graceful that even God would understand if he invented them. I don't want to save the world. Let it die, I say. I don't want to save the world. I don't want to save the world. I don't want to save the world. Let it die, I say. I don't want to save the world. I don't want to save the world.
Something totally different. How was your father? I mean, was he as...
He was a complete sadist. He liked to beat people, and I was the smallest one around, so he beat on me. Especially with his razor strap, which he folded double and just laid upon me again and again and again. Unfortunately, I was there. I was the victim, and there was nothing I could do. He was bigger than I was. And I don't know what to say about it. It just kept happening. Any excuse, he would just beat me.
You really hated him? Because there's a story in hot water music called The Death of a Father. And you write, my father's funeral was a cold hamburger. He was an ignorant man, cruel, patriotic, money hungry, a liar, a coward.
Yes, he was. But I didn't hate him. I have one problem. I don't hate people. They disgust me and I want to get away from them. I do not have hatred. I have one problem. I don't hate people. I do not have hatred. I do not have hatred. I have an escape mechanism. Anytime somebody disgusts me, I just want to get away from them. I'm sorry if this sounds holy or something, but I don't have hatred. I have escape. No, I didn't hate my father. I just wanted to get away from him. And I did. And I came back and finally he forced me too far and I knocked him out. Or I knocked him down, rather. I didn't knock him out, I knocked him on his ass. When he got up, he fell upon the couch. I waited for him to get up and he wouldn't get up. I was very discouraged. This man must be a coward. And my blood is his blood. I thought, I've got bad blood here. This man won't get up. And my blood is his blood. I thought, I've got bad blood here. This man won't get up. So, I have one problem. I don't hate people. They disgust me and I want to get away from them. I do not have hatred. I have one problem. I don't hate people. I do not have hatred. I do not have hatred.
Cry when he died?
Cry? I never cry, baby.
Never?
Of course I do. But not at his death, no. I didn't rejoice either. But After he died, I felt like a different person, like I'd been freed. I started feeling happier. I got luckier. I laughed more. I felt better. I don't know, maybe I wanted him to die. I don't know. I've got a line in one of my poems that says, "A father's your master, even when he's gone. Son of a bitch, I have to find him yet. And kick him again. So we'll both be in hell, I'll find him." I have one problem. I don't hate people. They disgust me and I want to get away from them. I do not have hatred. I have one problem. I don't hate people. I do not have hatred. I do not have hatred. I have one problem. I don't hate people. They disgust me and I want to get away from them. I do not have hatred. I have one problem. I don't hate people. I do not have hatred. I do not have hatred.
Too fat, too thin, or nobody. Too much, too little.
Too fat, too thin, or nobody. Laughter or tears. Haters, lovers, strangers with faces like the backs of thumbtacks. Armies running through streets of blood. Waving wine bottles, bayoneting, fucking virgins. Or an old guy in a cheap room with a photograph of M. Monroe. There is a loneliness in this world so great that you can see it in the slow movement of the hands of a clock. People so tired, mutilated, either by love or no love. People are just not good to each other, one-on-one. The rich are not good to the rich. Poor are not good to the poor. We are afraid. Our educational system tells us that we can all be big-ass winners. It hasn't told us about the gutters, or the suicide, or the terror of one person aching in one place alone, untouched, unspoken to, watering a plant. People are not good to each other. People are not good to each other. I suppose they never will be. I suppose they never will be. People are not good to each other. People are not good to each other. I suppose they never will be. I suppose they never will be. I didn't ask them to be. But sometimes I think about it. The beads will swing, the clouds will cloud, and the killer will behead the child, like taking a bite out of an ice cream cone. Too much, too little. Too fat, too thin, or nobody. More haters than lovers. People are not good to each other. Perhaps if they were, our deaths would not be so sad. Meanwhile, I look at young girls. Stems, flowers of chance. There must be a way. Surely there must be a way we have not yet thought of. Who put this brain inside of me? It cries, it demands. It says there is a chance. It will not say no. People are not good to each other. People are not good to each other. I suppose they never will be. I suppose they never will be. People are not good to each other. People are not good to each other. I suppose they never will be. I suppose they never will be. I didn't ask them to be. But sometimes I think about it. But sometimes I think about it.
Akira, not much chance. Completely cut loose from purpose. He was a young man riding a bus through North Carolina on the way to somewhere, and it began to snow. The bus stopped at a little cafe in the hills, and the passengers entered. And he sat at the counter with the others, and he ordered. And the food arrived, and the meal was particularly good. And the coffee. And the coffee. And the coffee. The waitress was unlike the women he'd known. She was unaffected, and there was a natural humor which came from her. And the fry cook said crazy things, and the dishwasher in back laughed, a good, clean, pleasant laugh. The young man watched the snow through the window, and he wanted to stay in that cafe forever. And a curious feeling swam through him that everything was beautiful there, and it would always stay beautiful there. And then the bus driver told the passengers that it was time to board. And the young man thought, I'll just stay here. I'll just stay here. I'll just stay here. And the young man thought, I'll just stay here. I'll just stay here. I'll just stay here. And then he rose and he followed the others onto the bus. He found his seat and he looked at the cafe through the window. Then the bus moved off down the curve, downward, out of the hills. And the young man looked straight forward. And he heard the other passengers speaking of other things, or they were reading or trying to sleep. And they hadn't noticed the magic. And they hadn't noticed the magic. And the young man put his head to one side, closed his eyes, and pretended to sleep. There was nothing else to do. Just listen to the sound of the engine, and the sound of the tires, in the snow. And the young man thought, I'll just stay here. I'll just stay here. I'll just stay here. And the young man thought, I'll just stay here. I'll just stay here. I'll just stay here.
laughing heart.
Akira.
Your life is your life. Don't let it be clubbed into dank submission. Be on the watch. There are ways out. There is light somewhere. It may not be much light, but it beats the darkness. But it beats the darkness. Be on the watch. The gods will offer you chances. Know them and take them. You can't beat death, but you can beat death in life. Sometimes the more often you learn to do it, the more light there will be. Your life is your life. Know it while you have it. You are marvelous. The gods wait to delight in you. That's a beauty.
Style. Style is the answer to everything. A fresh way to approach a dull or dangerous thing. To do a dull thing with style is preferable to doing a dangerous thing without it. To do a dangerous thing with style is what I call art. Bullfighting can be an art. Boxing can be an art. Loving can be an art. Opening a can of sardines can be an art. Not many have style. Not many can keep style. I have seen dogs with more style than men. Although not many dogs have style, cats have it with abundance. Style. Style. When Hemingway put his brains to the wall with a shotgun, that was style. Or sometimes people give you style. Joan of Arc had style. John the Baptist, Christ, Socrates, Caesar, Garcia Lorca. I've met men in jail with style. I've met more men in jail with style than men out of jail. Style is a difference, a way of doing, a way of being done. 6 herons standing quietly in a pool of water. Are you walking out of the bathroom naked without seeing me? Style. 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 Jesus. Style. Lips. Style. 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 Generally speaking, you're free till you're about 4 years old. And then 5 around. So then you go to grammar school, and then you start becoming demented and soft and orientated and shoved into areas. You lose what individualism you have. If you have enough, of course, you retain some of it. But most don't have enough, so you become watchers of game shows, you know, and things like that. Then you work the 8-hour job with almost a feeling of goodness, like you're doing something. And you get married like marriage is a victory, and if you have children like children is a victory. But most things most people do are a total grind. Marriage, birth, children. It's something they have to do because there's nothing else to do. There's no glory in it, there's no steam, there's no fire. It's something they have to do because there's nothing else to do. There's no glory in it, there's no steam, there's no fire. Sorry, but that's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. Sorry, but that's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. It's very, very flat. And the earth is full of them. You're doing some dumb thing over and over and over again. You get caught into the stricture of what you're supposed to be, and you have no other choice. You're finally molded and melded into what you're supposed to be. I didn't like this. And I didn't like the 8-hour job. I didn't even like the 4-hour job, even though I couldn't get one. So I decided I'd rather starve, live on the edges of nowhere, than do anything at all, than become anything label. But most things most people do are something they have to do because there's nothing else to do. There's no glory in it, there's no steam, there's no fire. It's something they have to do because there's nothing else to do. There's no glory in it, there's no steam, there's no fire. Sorry, but that's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. Sorry, but that's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. No guns. I go with Ibsen's The Strongest Men Are Without Guns.
Akira.
There isn't any undiscovered talent laying around under the bushes. It's just not there. In fact, as time goes more and more on, there seems to be an attrition of natural creative talent. I guess it is the crush of the numbers upon the earth, and also the fact that we're all narrowed down through shit like television, newspapers, communication. Communication is the greatest destroyer of talent because it makes everybody like everybody else. And the only way a child, you must start as a child to become original, is to be shut out from these forces of communication. And the only way you can do that is have cruel parents to be buried underground for 6 months or something terrible. The brilliant child cannot be brilliant because he's taught to be brilliant. He must be the counterpart of all these forces that are telling him what to do. No gods. I go with Ibsen's The Strongest Man Without Gods. The strongest man without gods. No God. I go with Ibsen's The Strongest Man Without Gods. The strongest man without gods. I think it's harder and harder for a child to become individual because they're more and more melded together into one piece. So as time goes on, it'll be more and more difficult. We're going to have to look in little places in Africa and then, okay, this sounds very dismal, but that's it. The chance for genius becomes less and less. The others say it becomes more and more, but it's the same kind of genius that they agree with, you see. The true genius like Damian, Adolf Hitler, and Charles Bukowski will become less and less and less. Less and less and less. Further questions? No gods. I go with Ibsen's The Strongest Man Without Gods. The strongest man without gods. No God. I go with Ibsen's The Strongest Man Without Gods. The strongest man without gods.
Not afraid about death?
No. In fact, I almost feel good at the approach of death.
Why? You have a nice wife.
Akira.
All that's okay. But you see, as you live many years, things take on a repeat. Has that ended? Are you ended?
No, it's okay.
Things take on a repeat. You understand? You keep seeing the same thing over and over again. The same substance, the same action, the same reaction. So you get a little bit tired of life. So as death comes, you almost say, okay, baby, it's time, it's good. So I know I have very little fear of death. In fact, I almost welcome it. I almost feel good at the approach of death. Okay, baby, it's time, it's good. I almost feel good at the approach of death. Okay, baby, it's time, it's good. It's good. I almost feel good at the approach of death. Okay, baby, it's time, it's good. I almost feel good at the approach of death. Okay, baby, it's time, it's good. It's good. It's good. Confession. Waiting for death like a cat that will jump on the bed. I'm so very sorry for my wife. She will see this stiff white body. Shake it once, then maybe again. Hank. Hank won't answer. It's not my death that worries me. It's my wife left with this pile of nothing. I want to let her know, though, that all the nights sleeping beside her, even the useless arguments were things ever splendid, and the hard words I ever feared to say can now be said. I love you. Confession.